Shalom, this is Rabbi Sachs coming to you from the Chai Center, and welcome to the Chai Academy. We spent, the past month or so on Genesis, chapters 1, 2, and 3, and we're holding the middle of chapter 3. Each class, once again, is self-contained, and if you are just logging on for the first time, checking us out now, please realize that you do not need necessarily to see the other classes to understand this class. Of course, the other classes will have information that this class will not have. Clearly, we're not repeating. Try not to repeat too much. So we've been discussing the sin of Adam and Eve, the consequences of Adam and Eve, and on various different levels. And once again, the Torah, the Bible, is an extremely dense code, and therefore, because it's so dense, it's not just a literal level. It's not just literal. There's lessons and deep lessons, and it's deep. It's dense. So yesterday we were talking about the idea of why God kicked Adam and Eve out is because on some level, just being in the Garden of Eden and doing nothing leads to boredom. And boredom, as we know, for a human being is toxic. Good day, Eileen. It's just really toxic. So God said, okay, I got to challenge you. I have to, you have to have self-worth. You have to be challenged. You have to accomplish. And so get out of the Garden of Eden. And just being in the Garden of Eden, where they just pick berries and grapes all day, is not a life. A human being has an urge, has a lust, has a craving to accomplish, to create. So we mentioned that yesterday. Hi, Susan. We mentioned that yesterday, and somebody sent me something from Lego, the company Lego. It's in the this is written by Lego in the 1970s. It says, enclosed in their package, to parents, the urge to create is equally strong in all children, boys and girls. It's imagination that counts. It's not skill. You build whatever comes into your head the way you want it, a bed or a truck, a dollhouse or a spaceship. A lot of boys like dollhouses, and a lot of girls prefer spaceships. They're more exciting than dollhouses. The most important thing is to put the right material in their hands and let them create whatever appeals to them. Hi, Avalon. How are you? Hi, Lenny. That's what God wanted. God didn't want them just to be in the Garden of Eden. God wanted them to create. God wanted us to do. God, Avalon, who just joined us for the first time, I believe, is an activist, right? She's a mover, a shaker, and she likes to see wrongs corrected. That's what God wants from all of us. So just to remain in the Garden of Eden, right? Just to remain in the Garden of Eden is no life, right? You're not supposed to just pick grapes and get wine poured to you, and eat, garlic bread with fresh butter. You gotta get out and you gotta work for it. Today's discussion is going to be continuing the consequences. And the consequences, but there is something so fundamental that it basically has thwarted humans since this consequence, since this curse. So God told Adam, get out, and you're going to have to work hard. God told Eve, you're going to have difficulty in childbirth, which, by the way, the commentaries mean also the monthly menses, there's actual childbirth, there's cramps, and there's this, there's that. That's also, right? So that we didn't really discuss that too much, but we did discuss the difficulty in rearing children. Then God gave another curse, right? God gave another curse, and he told Eve that v'hu yimshal bach, Adam will rule you. Adam will rule you, right? Your desire, you're going to desire him, and he's going to rule you. That's the exact quote. Now, this was a curse, right? Because she was the one that first ate it. This is the part, then she gave it to Adam. So this is a curse that man, the male, is going to rule. So the commentaries explain this, and it's very different than what you're thinking. And we'll discuss what you're thinking. The commentaries explain as follows. Until that point, men and women, male and the female, were very much alike. Physically, they were different, right? One had ovaries, the other one had testicles, one had a womb, and the other one had whatever, a prostate. But they were very, very much alike in temperament, and they were very alike, and they were very similar. When God said that you're going to you're going to crave him, desire, and he's going to rule you, right? That's when the first battle of the sexes began. So up until that point, there wasn't supposed to be a battle of the sexes. There weren't supposed to be such differences, right? There wasn't supposed to be, but because of this, there was. But it was a curse. Right? It's not ideal, right? And I think it's our job to nullify the curse. Now, other commentators explain it that when God said that he's going to rule you and you're going to crave him, etc., God was saying, okay, so there's going to be two different types of people in the world. One is going to be known as the fairer sex, and one is going to be the lumberjack, right? One is and the fairer sex is always going to be, looking forward to a husband coming home, and then the lumberjack, he's just a typical male, doesn't think necessarily during the day about his wife, etc. Others view it that v'hu yimshal bach, and he will rule you. It's not necessarily referring to male versus female, but rather wisdom. God said from here on in, wisdom should rule emotion. So a woman is more emotional than a man. So he put it that way. To Eve he said, to the woman he said, v'hu yimshal bach. Logic should rule emotion, right? It's rather than let emotion rule logic, which is a person, and this is once again Kabbalistic philosophy, is that mind has to be always over matter. Yes, of course, you must have emotion. It doesn't say mind over emotion or mind over emotion, so that emotion doesn't exist, but rather mind over matter, intellect over emotion. There are times the intellect has to let loose, right? You just lost your pet. You can't be expected to, you let your emotions. And other losses, some bad news, someone lost their job, you gotta be emotional. But you can't let emotion dictate your decisions. And once again, that's why during Shiva, we don't conduct business. We don't make big decisions because we're too emotional. So it wasn't necessarily a man to the woman, who yimshal bach is going to rule you, but rather God was talking to logic. Logic, I want you to rule emotion. Eve ate the fruit out of emotion. So now, you guys, you're going to have to think about things before you act impulsively. Many Bible scholars, religions, when they took these words, the V'hu Shabach, he shall rule you, right? It is completely taken out of context. Nowhere does it mean is that the man is the the leader, and the woman is weaker, and the woman should be treated different, etc., etc. You wouldn't go around calling a male colleague sweetheart, so you don't go calling a female colleague sweetheart. But it's done all the time, right? And they trace it to here. But once again, this is a curse. This is not ideal. It's not right. Glass ceiling, which Kamala Harris just pierced, right, as the first woman vice president, right? But for as long tales as all this time is that a woman is paid less than a man. It doesn't make it right. It's a curse. It's not supposed to be this way. You're supposed to nullify the curse, right? So just as I always say, it says a woman should give birth in pain, and they have something called an epidural, so you don't have to give birth in pain, right? Or you get a time of the month, so they have a birth control pill or a hormonal pill that so you don't have constantly reminded every 30 days from the age of 10, 11, right? So this you can circumvent this. It doesn't have to be yes, I am so religious that I'm gonna rule my wife, right? It should be nullified. And in fact, throughout Jewish history, we have seen that it's nullified. We see in the Torah, in Genesis, not chapter 3, but in Genesis, right? Sarah complained to Abraham, and she says, I don't like this Ishmael hanging around. I do not like it. Get rid of him. And Abraham says, no, it's my son. I want you to get rid of him and her and his mother. She's not good influences. Right? Get rid of him. And Abraham was pensive. No, I don't want to do this. I no. And all of a sudden there was a heavenly voice. Abraham, listen to your wife. She's giving you good counsel, and don't be so obstinate, essentially. Everything, everything that your wife Sarah listens to her, right? If she, a mother, tells you that Ishmael and Hagar are no good for the son, right? This is no time for you to be too big for your breeches and to be, an egocentric male. Listen to her. Nullify the curse. And likewise, right? Last week's Torah portion, where Isaac was going to give the blessing to Esau, and Rebecca, the mother, said, "Oh, this is no good. This is no good. This is going to spell doom for the Jewish people." And she, the strong mother, guided her son in how to make sure that there's continuity and that he lives. Right? Hi, Michael. There you have an example, by the way. There's a woman, Mindy, right, who's just amazing. She's not any, she's nobody's fool. And that's, if I can commend you, that's a partnership. So he ruling you is a curse. That's not the ideal, and you got to stop the curse. So therefore, if a woman gets paid less, or if a woman gets treated shuddier, or if a woman, back in the day, I remember this. I remember the discussions. Thank God it doesn't happen that much. But when a woman was attacked by a man, and it used to be, well, how was she dressed? And if you remember those days, if you're old enough, how was she dressed? Or you've read up on it. It's insane. That's the excuse. How was she dressed? Right? Nullify the curse. Nullify it. right? It is. It's not. This is not. This is not the ideal. So So that is so now, practically speaking, let me tell you a Jewish law, where this comes into play somewhat. A If a husband, not the wife, if a husband is going on a business trip, or he's going on a sailing trip, or he's going without the wife, right? As opposed to if the wife is going on a business trip or sailing trip. But a husband is going on a trip, right? This is Jewish law. He cannot go with his wife without his wife's permission. He cannot go on the trip without pacifying the wife, right? And he cannot go, and the Torah tells us that the night before, or a couple of nights before, the husband and wife should make love before he leaves. We're talking about Jewish law now, right? Why? Because it's very emotionally painful for a woman when a husband goes away, right? I'm leaving, I'll be back in a week. It's not easy, right? When the wife goes away, right? It's some husbands have a hard time, but some husbands, okay, so now it's Netflix, and this is my chance to order in from the Chinese restaurant every night while she's not there. Kids, forget the healthy cereal, right? It's Fruity Pebbles until Monday, right? That's how it usually is for a guy. But for a woman, it's painful. She misses a husband. So that's when it says that she will look towards her husband, is because she has something very special in her that just loves a little bit more than the guy. Right? Was it always like that, or did this happen because of the original sin? So before the husband goes away, he has to pacify a piece of, make love to her, assure her, because it's hard. It's hard for her. She likes having a guy in go to bed with her at night in the same room, etc. It's baduk manusa, by the way. It's tried, it's proven, etc. So that part actually we do see, but any other part where a woman has to, for example, in the Muslim religion, where they have to dress with the the hijab and the whole dress, it's not Torah. Torah wouldn't want that at all. Right? It's actually interesting. According to Jewish law, a woman can dress how she wants, but she helps out the men in her life, the people in her community, by not dressing provocative. But for a woman, women amongst women, for example, doesn't matter what they wear. Honestly, it doesn't matter. So when the Jewish law says a woman should be modest, it's not for them. It's because the men are the fairer sex, if you really think about it. So once again, that thing that he's going to rule you is something that has to be fought at every moment. Right? Having said that, it's very important for the man not to rule, but to love and cherish and take care of, and that's in the ketubah. So I knew this question was going to come up about the wigs, about the shaitels, right? So nowhere does he say a woman. See, that's a difference from here and then from what a nun wears or what a Muslim in the hijab. A woman is allowed to look beautiful, right? They wear beautiful wigs, right? They wear beautiful wigs, and so why not beautiful hair? Because hair, right? Oh, when a man puts a hair through his wife's hair, his hand through his wife's hair, or a man puts his hands through someone else's hair, right? There's a difference. It's not as exotic if you put it through a wig. So they say, okay, cover your head because you don't want to tie someone to put their hand through your hair. But does that mean you have to look ugly? Does that mean you have to, wear a schmatter, or cut your hair to nothing? No, wear a wig. You have to look beautiful because beauty is self-worth, right? You have to feel beautiful. I'm not look beautiful. You have to feel beautiful. And if wearing a tichel, a schmatter, will make you feel ugly, or someone here at the Chai Center used to call it fugly, then it is. Why do you have to subject a woman to a hijab? Why do you have to subject her to a tichel, to a schmatter on a head and a piece of material, right? No, and it can be nice. And some women, their sheitel, their wig is nicer than their hair, but that's okay because they're not supposed to look or feel horrible. It's supposed to look and feel beautiful, and that is the name of the game. That is the name of the game. You're supposed to look the best you can and feel the best you can. So we do not want our women to wear a hijab or and cover with their hair like dressed like a nun, right? So it's extremely important that we take care of our wife, but we don't rule her. Taking care of a wife is an obligation. Ruling her is a curse. It's all part of the curse. So it's very different. It's very different. And essentially, when they say love is blind, by the way, what does that mean? What does that mean, love is blind? Love is blind means, and it's sort of an odd statement to make because love is not really blind. But what it means that love is blind is not that you shouldn't see the person for whom they are. It's not that you shouldn't, I overlook every bad thing I'm gonna overlook. No, it's not that you overlook and pretend it's not there, but rather you make peace with it. That's what it means. So if a spouse, male or female, have a quirk, right? So talk about it, talk it out, make peace of it, and move on. That's what it means, blind. Love means that you take yourself from the center of your concentric circle and move a little bit to allow someone else in. That's what love is. That you move yourself away from the center of you and let someone stand in the center instead. But it doesn't mean that you have to just look away each and every time, and it means that you gotta deal with it. You gotta deal with it. Realize that it's more important to be happy than to be right. Realize it's more important to be happy than and make peace with it than to bring it up every single time. Okay, so any questions? Any questions on that? Right. So very clear. There's no way, shape, or form that we rule anything. We have to, on the contrary, not only rule, but the reverse. Right? When it comes to matters in the home, I was told this, by the way, when I was getting married. I went to a man. I went to a sage. And I said, "Do you have any advice for me? And I'm about to get married. I studied under you. Do you have any advice?" So basically, what he said, one of the things he said was, the house that you build together, the physical house that you build together, right, is her domain. If she wants it to look a certain way, she wants to add an extra window, she wants a certain color carpet, or she wants a certain make of refrigerator, right? He says, do it, Do it. Who cares? Do it. Make her happy. That's your job. Make her happy. He said, the children that you have together, in other words, the spiritual house, that's your domain together. But listen to her voice because she's more spiritually in tuned. Generally, just like Sarah and Rebecca were more spiritually in tune than their husbands. But you make joint decisions together. Physical house, what color dishcloths and all this, let her have domain. Don't mix in. Right? She likes something, say yes, let's get it. Right? And then he said something else. If you have a fight and after 2 days you don't remember really all the details of the fight, it's not a big fight. Not a big fight. If it's 2 days later and you remember every detail of what you were fighting about, then you really need to sit down and iron it out because that was a big fight. Right? So that was essentially his words to me. Right? That a big fight needs to be completely repaired. A small fight, if you don't remember, then just kind of don't worry about it. But let her have her fiefdom. Let her have a domain. Let her have your love. Make sure you're kind to her, and don't rule her. If you rule her, that is the curse, and that's not what the Torah wanted. Right? That's something that we go into life to try and fix. That's one of the things we have to fix. If you want to see a repeat of this class, a recording of this class, you can find it on the chaicenter.com/academy. And likewise, you'll find other courses there as well. And if you feel free to share this class as well. Someone just asked the question, what about the mother-in-law, right? So the answer is either side, man or woman. You have to take your spouse's side. You cannot let, the Torah clearly tells us, a man should leave his father and mother's house and cleave to his wife. If the in-laws become deleterious to the marriage, you know whom you have to side with. However painful it is, you know whom. You have to side with your spouse. If the in-laws are interfering and telling your wife how to rear children, you have to say stop. You want to be there as a positive voice, that's great. You want to be there as a controlling voice and a ruling voice on my behalf, I don't want it at all. You don't like the way she holds the baby when she feeds it, right? You don't think the baby's getting enough? Tell me, okay? Don't create problems, Mom. That's the way to handle it. God bless.